Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rice News analyst, Emmanuel Ofeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good to see you. You're welcome.
Good morning, Leila. We would like to do her wedding maybe somewhere more exciting than a play.
No wedding bells.
Boat cruise.
There are no wedding bells.
Just make sure you invite us.
Good morning,
Boat cruise is not a bad idea.
Now, let's start with these day newspapers. The lead story, PSC writes IG over violation of policy in CP's appointment. The Police Service Commission writing the Inspector General of Police over violation of policy in the appointment of commissioners of police. Yes, a couple of days ago, this day had that exclusive lead story on the postings of police commissioners. So lopsided, if you ask me. 10 states, thereabout, with no commissioners of police, including my state, Delta, and your state, Leila.
I know.
Yes, or your state. And some states have as many as 4. That's Katsina, the president's home state. If somebody is trying to embarrass the president by that posting, then I think the president should take a look at that. But the fact is that the Inspector General of Police is violating, because he carried out this deployment, is violating the federal character principle enshrined in our Constitution. And there is a Federal Character Commission. And that commission is saying that nobody has protested concerning these lopsided postings of commissioners of police. So commissioners of police of that rank from Delta State and 10 other states are in the office doing administrative work.
Well, I think one good thing about this story is that with the Federal Character Commission saying that nobody has complained, you can be sure that before the end of this week, there will be quite a number of NGOs and stakeholders protesting and petitioning the Federal Character Commission to do its work. Now, if you look at it, you just mentioned only Katsina State. If you look at the number of commissioners of police that have been deployed and have been given specific commands, they are all majorly from the Northeast and the Northwest, right?
Northwest has 12.
Yes. So
Southeast,
when you look at that list, it really looks untidy. It looks insensitive, considering the fact that many observers have been protesting that under this administration, there has been a gradual modernization of key important positions, either in the security agencies or in other departments of government, the kind that we witnessed under military rule. And the struggle for democracy, in fact, was also a struggle for fairness and equity and justice. And this was one of those, violations of the Constitution that propelled it. The other point to make is that, this Inspector General of Police, who has been described as hardworking by the president because he was losing weight, I think he's beginning to gain weight. And the clear evidence of that is the kind of stumbling, and failures that we have been seeing from his office. You will recall that even before now, he had issues with the Police Service Commission. And the Police Service Commission, even in this appointment and deployment of commissioners of police, is protesting, because the Police Service Commission is saying that the Office of the Inspector General of Police is usurping the functions of the Police Service Commission that is responsible for promotions and recruitment. Now, the IGP, without reference to the Police Service Commission, recruited 10,000 policemen. That matter is in court.
It's in court.
Now, the Police Service Commission is saying that he has deployed these commissioners of police, appointed them also, without recourse to the Police Service Commission. I think that the president personally needs to look into this conflict between the Police Service Commission and the Office of the Inspector General of Police. Because if his objective of deepening the quality of security that is provided is to be achieved, then he cannot afford a situation whereby the police as an institution is heavily politicized, is a center of strife and interdepartmental conflict.
Okay, let's move on to other issues. The Nation newspaper, smart card reader, has lost its usefulness, says INEC. Agency blames politicians, courts for electoral woes. This is quite a damning statement coming from top officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission against the backdrop of the Kogi and Bayelsa polls, which took place a couple of weeks ago, and the attendant violence. But what this report is saying is that when you approach the courts, the court will say you cannot prove overvoting with card readers because it is not backed by law. It is not in the Constitution. They call for the register. So politicians now have that impunity to carry out overvoting with a view to getting to the court, and INEC will not be able to prove overvoting. Solution: pass the Electoral Amendment Act and give legal backing to card reader and electronic transmission of votes as being canvassed by many who wish the electoral process well in this country.
Yes, you are quite right. I mean, the Electoral Amendment Bill as proposed is talking about electronic voting. It's talking about the need for INEC to have a database that should be maintained until all litigations have been resolved. There are some Nigerians who say, well, if you do electronic voting, we have challenges in Nigeria, but still we have the need, the duty to upgrade and reform our electoral processes for the purpose of greater transparency and accountability. So you are right in that respect. Let us hope that this time around there will be no excuse for not, transforming the bill into law, and that when it becomes an act, properly speaking, that INEC will be empowered to move from its, traditional methods to a more modern method of conducting processes. So, and it's not enough for Festus Okoye to blame the politicians, to say the politicians have found their way around it. Previously, he too used to defend reform. So we would like to hear more progressive statements in that regard from INEC, and not excuses.
Well, but it is within the purview of the legislature and the executive to ensure that the law is in place. Let's move on. Daily Sun, hate speech. Nobody can muzzle Nigerians. IBB, that's former military president Ibrahim Babangida, says death penalty crude, out of tune with modernity. Bill slide to dictatorship, says Afe Babalola. And if you look at the front page of The Guardian, you see photographs of protesters who, coalition of civil societies demanding the immediate release of Omoyele. And of course, they are also protesting, if you see their banner there, the bill, that bill has to be killed. Hate speech bill is there in the photograph. And this campaign to end this hate speech bill, despite the fact that the sponsor of that bill is saying that they are ready to remove the death penalty, that is still not going down well with many Nigerians, because it looks like an attempt to muzzle Nigerians and shackle our hard-earned freedom of speech. But I think we should just move to the foreign newspapers if we have some time. The Times of London. Johnson heads for big majority. That's what the recent poll conducted. Yes, but don't celebrate too much. That's The Guardian of UK. The Guardian of UK, Johnson heads for big majority. Tories predicting Tories 359, Labour 211, SNP 43, and Lib Dems 13. But if you look at the Daily Telegraph, there's a caution there, Ruben. Election too close to call. Yes, warns Dominic Cummings. It's warning, that's his closest advisor. And this was the guy with whom they campaigned for Leave, vote Leave. And he's saying that it is too close to call. That if you look at those figures brought out by the analysis from YouGov, that looking at it seat by seat analysis, there's the tendency that complacency may set in and Labour may just produce the Prime Minister.
That's hardly likely.
It's not going to happen.
Let's face it.
And you are not likely to have a hung parliament
No.
with the support of the Brexit party stepping down in many of the constituencies.
But that is if the election is held today.
Yeah, but the election will not be held today.
That's
the election
the
is
poll.
in
What I'm
December.
telling you, the poll you are talking, 24 hours is a long time in politics. We still have many days ahead
It is,
before
but
the election.
Something like cataclysmic would have to happen right
Yes,
now. Because Corbyn is not really an
with the
option.
release of documents showing that indeed the Tories are putting the NHS on the trade deal table
But
discussion with
That's
the
the position
UA.
of Jeremy Corbyn.
Yes, but
It doesn't mean that he's right.
No,
They've
but there are
denied it.
secret
The
documents.
Americans
Secret-
have also denied
secret
it.
No, but he should
documents
release
show.
it and let people see.
Documents.
So far, he's saying he has the documents.
Yeah.
So he should release it.
No,
for
he has
public
released
use,
it.
for public
Yes,
scrutiny.
yes, he has. 451-page document has been released.
But is that going to sway
It's
public
going to be
interest
of no
right now?
consequence.
Okay.
The Tories will win, and
Yeah.
we'll be here to review it.
Well, I hope
take that bet with you,
Labour will
Doctor.
find the magic wand to.
Well, I think for me, Corbyn and Boris Johnson is the devil and the deep blue
Honestly,
sea.
it's-
Neither one is a great prospect. as far as I'm
Honestly.
So I wouldn't mind.
Well, it looks like
thank
Johnson
you.
will win.
Thank you, Emmanuel Efeni.
That's
Thank
so
you.
many. Thank you.